Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you are listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is November the 16th, 2023, and today the topic is, what are you thinking? Happy Thursday. Yes, happy Thursday, everybody. I hope that you all had a wonderful Wednesday. Mine was just fine. Yep, mine was good overall. My main highlights for yesterday was, of course, getting up to do the juice and receiving what the Lord wanted me to share with y'all yesterday. And then the other main highlight was going to Mount West. It was a Wednesday, and usually on Wednesdays I'm either doing childcare or I'm doing I guess still childcare, but I think I told you all a little bit about it. I chit-chatted with the kiddos about mustard seed of faith. We did a mustard uh, experiment, and I think it went over well. I even did these little faith falls with them. It's like instead of a trust fall, I call them faith falls, and just other little conversations that I had with them, as well as just little activities and whatnot. And I think it all came together. So to God be the glory for that. You know what I'm saying? Um, I know I took some time yesterday and I was reflecting on earlier this year when I thought that I was going to be doing the Miracle Lab virtually. Um, I was coming up with ideas and stuff of how to make it happen, maybe as like a show or maybe like a virtual club and things like that. And I was very disappointed when things didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. But um, it's been really cool to do it in person and come up with these different I guess you would say curriculum or whatever the case is for every other week. And it's been a nice little addition, and I've been giving y'all a sneak peek, at least those that follow me on social media, so you guys can follow me to see photos and whatnot from those events. But man, yeah, I don't know where all this gonna go, but I'm excited about what it's currently doing, and so to God be the glory for that. Um, yeah, those the main highlights. I mean, yesterday was also a um class day for NJ, so obviously he did that, and then we had us a little mommy and NJ time and whatnot. Look, my husband's out there hustling in the streets, and whatnot. So I'm very proud of him. I know I told him that yesterday, but I'm just glad to see him at peace. You know what I mean? Like it seems like he's at peace and happy to be doing what he's doing right now. And so I am just glad to see that. Anyway, I know y'all could be like, Miracle, okay, enough about your day, enough about your life. But I mean, I guess it kind of goes with this conversation in a way of what are you thinking? Because well, I guess there's a few things that led me to this topic this morning. First, I woke up. Well, by the time I realized that it was morning time and stuff, it was already after 6. So that was one thing. Um, and then when I listened to the prayer meditation, which was good, it was all about, I feel like faith and trust in God, things of that nature. Um, so I was reflecting on that. And then basically I did my little, you know, taking time, scrolling on social media, checking stuff, just seeing. And I was noticing that well, one, I kept seeing a lot of things about marriage. Um, about, and I don't know if this is for somebody or what. I'm just telling y'all what I saw. I kept seeing things about, oh, your time is coming and your marriage is this and that. And, and I'm like, and again, that's encouraging to see. But with me already being married, I'm like, is that a word for me? And it could be. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying I kept seeing stuff like that. And then, and as I reflected on that a little bit, I started to see just some other stuff, like some just, I guess, people's opinions about different stuff. I just feel like that. Like some of it had to do with relationships and things like that. And ultimately it led me to the question of, who are you listening to? Yeah, who are you listening to? So I started to reflect on that and started looking at verses centered around that idea of who are we listening to? Because, are we listening to other people that well, a lot of times, yeah, we do listen to other people, but then we got to ask, who are they listening to? Like the things that they're saying, where is it coming from? Is it coming from the heart and mind of the Lord, or is it coming from the heart and mind of the enemy? Um, Things of that nature. So again, this is what I was kind of going deeper about and whatnot. And obviously it made me think about one of the questions I had back in the day. Yes, back during the cultivation period, back when I was struggling and, having my one-on-one time with the Lord and all this type of stuff and asking him all the questions and feeling like I wasn't really getting, I guess, the answers the way I wanted to get them. But anywho, one of the questions I did have back in the day was like, how do I know, you know, when God is speaking to me versus when it's my own thoughts, and then versus when it's the enemy speaking. And we know that this can happen because even Jesus had a moment, right, where he had to tell his disciple, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Now clearly he was talking to Peter, but Peter was talking with the spirit of the Antichrist, if you just be honest about the situation. Like he wasn't speaking from the heart of God when he was saying the things that he was saying. Um, and I guess in some ways being a temptation to Christ um, in those moments because uh, how can I explain it here? Well, basically, again, we saw what Jesus was praying, right? He was praying to God and saying, Lord, you could take this cup from me, but not my will, your will be done, X, Y, and Z. And then Peter comes later and talking about you ain't got to die, you ain't gonna die, you know. And so he's like, look, you ain't even, in alignment with the Lord right now. Get thee behind me, Satan. I can't even listen to you right now. Um, and it can happen this very same way to us, right? Our friends, our family can be speaking things that aren't the mind and heart of God. And so again, the question is, who are you listening to? So again, like I said, I was going deeper about that. And ultimately, I guess what really started to resonate with me this morning is this idea of taking every thought captive. And so it ultimately led me to this conversation of what are you thinking versus just the who are you listening to. That's still very important. You guys can go deeper about that. Plenty of articles on gotquestions.org. I was looking at a few of them and whatnot. I did not write them down. So just look it up yourself if you need to go deeper again about this idea of who are you listening to. But we're going to talk more today about what are you thinking. But again, I believe that the conversations kind of coincide because what you're thinking kind of stems from who you're listening to in a way. So, if y'all with me, if you're tracking with me, you understand what I'm saying, then let's keep on going. If not, seek the Lord about the wisdom behind what I just said. But anyway, so one of the things that I came across this morning as I guess settled my heart and mind on this concept of what are you thinking was just wondering, like, how many thoughts do we have throughout the day? And so I did a little quick search real quick. And this is what I came up with. It told me with Google, all right, it told me that we generally, humans, have 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. I mean, can we just let that marinate? 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day, which roughly translates to 35 to 48 thoughts a minute. 35 to 48 thoughts a minute. Like, did you know that you think so much? I mean, hey, I think anybody that knows me closely, like my husband or my good friend Kelvin, the co-star of the Cast movie, those are two gentlemen I pretty much bounce a lot of my ideas across them two. But basically, I'm always coming to them with different ideas. I'm like, what about this? What about that? This just came to me. Da 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 da. Now, whether I'm giving them all of my 35 to 48 minutes that I have per minute, I doubt that. But I know myself, like I said, I call myself an idea generator to a certain extent, because different ideas and thoughts and whatnot are going throughout my head all the time, to where when I finally decide to say, you know what, it's time for me to unwind. It's time for me to just stop. I'm just going to watch some mindless TV and go to sleep. um, it's like I had to be intentional about doing that, because my mind is always thinking. I know my mom can relate, so look, shout out to mama, because she is someone that comes up with a lot of ideas and whatnot as well. But again, even with these examples, it's not, again, scratching the surface really on, again, the amount of thoughts that we actually have throughout the day. And I guess it was important for me to bring this up about the amount, because it seems like, and again, I'm not saying everybody and everything like that, but it seems like the majority of us, out of all of them thoughts that we have, we tend to lean on and believe the negative thoughts that we have. We worry about whatever, you know what I'm saying? We're worried about things, and sometimes it's all in our head. That's another thing that came to my heart and mind this morning. Again, the concept of being, of that song, All in My Head. I think I told y'all about it recently, a few weeks ago, and I'm like, Lord, did I talk about that the other week? And I went to go scroll to see if I called a Juice All in My Head, because I guess it almost became today's conversation. But yeah, sometimes the negative things, friends, are all in our head. It's not real, it's not true, but we hold on to those things, and we think about those things, and we keep those things on our heart and mind, and we believe them, right? And we live according to it. So again, who are you listening to, and what are you thinking? Again, I know sometimes you can be getting it from outside sources. Like, so you got to deal with your own thoughts sometimes, right? And then you're getting negative opinions, and I call it unsolicited opinions and things of that nature from outside sources. So again, that goes back to, like, who are you listening to? Are you going to listen to God's report and what he has to say about you and your life? Or are you going to listen to the enemy's report, working through whoever he can use to, again, drag you away from God's will and way and purpose for you in your life? So let's get into some verses, y'all, because yeah, it's about that time. So anyway, Psalm 94:11, it says, the Lord knows the thoughts of man, that they are not but a breath. Or excuse me, I'm gonna read that again. The Lord knows the thoughts of man, that they are but a breath. Just like our life, apparently. Our life is just a little breath and vapor too, according to the Bible. But yeah, I mean, I guess this is proof of what that previous study shows us, right? If we're having 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day and 35 to 48 thoughts a minute, then yeah, I could clearly see how our thoughts are just a breath, But let's keep going. Let's keep going. So then I got Romans 12:2. It says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. This reminded me of one of the articles I read at gotquestions.org. Like I told y'all, I'm sorry I didn't write it down. But basically it was kind of talking about this concept of the will of God, and answering the question, like, how do we know the will of God? Like, how do we know, again, his thoughts for me and things like that? And it pointed out that there's some particular, I think like 3 that they pointed out that specifically says the will of God. And the hope of the situation is that basically the article was saying that if you aren't paying attention to those 3, then why should God share any of his other plans and will for your life? Like, let's get those 3 down, basically. And so again, I didn't write them down, so y'all can go to gotquestions.org itself. I'm trying to remember real quick. I know one of them was definitely centered around sexual immorality, which is It says God, sex, and love. But yeah, so one of them was centered around that and his will in regards to that. And then I can't remember the other two right now. Of course, you remember that one, Miracle. But anyway, basically, y'all can go deeper with all that. Again, gotquestions.org. Ask those questions and see. But yeah. Again, we need to be transforming our heart and mind and renewing it um, to the will of God. Again, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Look, and who are you listening to? Is that the tagline for today? And who are you listening to? I didn't write it down, but hey, I'm gonna keep that going. So then let's see, John 10:27. It says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." So again, this is who we should be listening to. These are the thoughts that we need to be taking on, the thoughts that God has for us. Do you know God's voice today? Again, you guys can go deeper with that if you do have the question of, well, how do I know? Because again, I told y'all back in the day I had questions as well. GodQuestions.org does address it. Ways to know. But the main ways is to get into the word. That's the main way to know God's voice and things like that. Read the word. And then alongside that, pray for wisdom, things of that nature. Y'all can go deeper, read the entire article. But yeah, man, as his sheep, we should know his voice. I think sometimes it might even be clear who's speaking to you, right? Or where the quote unquote thought is coming from, based on what the thought or voice or whatever, what it's saying and what it is. When I'm having moments of temptation or whatever case may be, then I could probably say that that's probably not God, that's probably either my own thoughts and desires or the enemy, trying to be a distraction or whatever the case may be. So that's one way, but hey, go deeper if you need to do so about that. One more verse I think I had to share with you guys this morning. It is 2 Corinthians 10:5. It says, "We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ." So, friends, I know that can be difficult. That sounds difficult. Like I told you, we got 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And you're like, Miracle, how in the world can we take all of them thoughts and take them captive and to obey Christ? But I mean, hey, we got to be intentional about doing that. We got to, practice it, I think, now whether you can make all 50 to 70,000 captive, who knows? I mean, well, hey, the Bible tells us that look, all things are possible. So again, I guess if you're practicing it, right, and making it a habit in your life to take your thoughts captive, then ultimately, I guess it should be clear what you're thinking and who you're listening to. And I guess that's ultimately the juice this morning. The Bible verse of today is Colossians 3:15, and it says, "And let the mercy of God rule in your hearts to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Now, y'all know tomorrow is Friday, so we have a new episode of the GSL Talk Show coming out at 7 p.m. It's with Mr. Joseph M. Leonard. He's an author, musician, and a bit of a politician. So y'all can, check him out and everything that he has to say on tomorrow's episode of the GSL Talk Show. But as for this Thursday, I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. There you go. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, anybody listening to the sound of my voice. I hope that you all are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, and sharing all those wonderful things. Yep. Your girl need to be getting ready to get on out of here, so I won't hold you up, but y'all have a wonderful day, and y'all look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye.